Your emergency fund probably shouldn't be $500, $1,000, or 6 months of expenses. These are milestones within one emergency fund, not 3 separate funds, just not at the same time. By the end of this video, you'll know which target makes sense for you right now. You'll also know how to calculate your real long-term number. And you'll see why chasing the biggest goal first can actually slow you down. These 3 numbers aren't competing answers. They're 3 different levels of protection. Pick the wrong level, and you end up in one of 2 bad spots. You either save too little and feel safe when you're not, or you set a goal so big that you give up before you even start. Here's the simple framework we're using. $500 can be one possible starter milestone, but it is not a universal minimum. $1,000 gives you a stronger starter fund. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses gives you long-term security. But there's a hidden trap in this framework. You can hit the exact number you planned and still make the wrong move. We'll talk about that trap later. First, let's clear up 3 myths that confuse almost everyone. Myth number 1, there is one correct emergency fund number. Search online and you'll hear completely different answers. Some people say $500, others say $1,000. Some say anything less than 6 months is irresponsible. So which one is right? All of them can be. Someone with 0 savings, high interest debt, and a car that needs fixing is in a totally different place than someone with a stable job, no debt, and $20,000 already saved. Giving both people the same target doesn't make sense. Your emergency fund should match your stage, not someone else's. Not a random number from social media, and not the biggest number you can imagine. Myth number 2, a starter fund is a complete emergency fund. A $500 or $1,000 fund can be really useful, but neither one is a fully funded emergency reserve. They're starting points. They stop a small problem from turning into debt. They give you breathing room, they protect your next paycheck, but they're not designed to replace months of lost income. Myth number 3, your full emergency fund is based on your income. This is where a lot of people inflate the number. A 3 to 6 month fund is based on essential expenses, not your total income. If you earn $7,000 a month, that doesn't mean you need $21,000 to $42,000. You might only need $3,500 a month to keep the basics running. That difference changes everything. I'll show you exactly what to include and what to leave out in a minute. Let's start with the smallest target, $500. Think of $500 as one possible starter buffer. It's not meant to fix every disaster. It's meant to cover the smaller surprises so they don't land on a credit card. Car battery dies. Urgent prescription. Plumber for a basic repair. Phone breaks and you need it for work. Without any savings, even a $300 problem can turn into debt that hangs around for months. That's what the first $500 is trying to stop. It also feels doable. If you have nothing saved right now, hearing you need $15,000 can shut you down. But $500? You can break it into 5 deposits of $100 or 10 of $50. Sell some stuff. Redirect part of a paycheck. Cut a few optional things. The goal is close enough that you actually start, and starting is the hardest part. So if $500 is good, why not just go straight to $1,000? In many cases, you should. A $1,000 fund gives you a stronger first layer. It can cover things that would wipe out $500 completely, minor car repairs, a medical bill, a broken appliance, a tow plus the repair, or an urgent work expense. In the Federal Reserve's 2025 US survey, major vehicle repair or replacement was the most commonly reported major unexpected expense, affecting 30% of adults. Home or appliance repairs affected 22%, while major medical expenses affected 21%. That extra room can be the difference between paying cash and putting the rest on a card. But don't confuse stronger with complete. $1,000 is still a starter fund. It helps with smaller emergencies, it reduces how fast you reach for debt, but if your income disappears for 3 months, $1,000 won't carry you very far. One quick note, a fixed $1,000 starter target loses purchasing power as prices rise. Compare it with today's repair costs, insurance, deductibles, and other likely emergencies. The idea stays the same. It's a quick first layer of protection, not the finished emergency fund. That's why $500 and $1,000 are milestones, not finish lines. So should your first goal be $500 or $1,000? Look at how exposed you are right now. If you have no savings, your credit card balance is growing, and every surprise goes straight onto debt. Getting to $500 fast is probably more useful than spending months chasing a bigger number. Once that $500 is there, you can decide if you want to push to $1,000 before attacking the high interest debt harder. But if you rely on a car every day, have a high insurance deductible, have kids, or regularly face bills bigger than $500, then $1,000 might make more sense as your first target. The question isn't which number sounds more responsible. It's which number stops a common problem from immediately becoming new debt. For some people, that's $500. For others, it's $1,000. There's no prize for picking the bigger one if it delays something more urgent. This becomes really important when high-interest debt is in the picture. But before we talk about debt, we need to figure out the full emergency fund. This is where the numbers get bigger. A fully funded emergency reserve is usually 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. The key word is essential. You're not trying to keep your normal lifestyle running. You're calculating how much you need to keep basic life going. Start with housing, rent or mortgage. Add basic utilities, electricity, water, heating, internet if you work from home, study online, or need it to job hunt. Then groceries, the real ones. Not delivery, not brunch, not the fancy snacks you can cut. Add insurance, health, car, renters, or homeowners. Anything that stops a second emergency from hitting while you're dealing with the first. Transportation gas, public transit, basic car costs, and minimum debt payments. Even in an emergency, lenders still expect those. Now look at what usually doesn't belong. Vacations. Streaming services, you can cancel. Eating out. Optional shopping. Hobbies. Upgrades. Anything you could pause without your life falling apart, those things aren't bad. Your emergency fund just isn't designed to fund your normal life forever. It's designed to protect the basics while you recover. Let's put real numbers on this. Imagine your essential monthly expenses are $3,500. 3 months is $10,500. 6 months is $21,000. These numbers are only an example. Yours will almost certainly be different. The right way is to open your own bank statements and bills. Add up only the costs you truly need: housing, basic utilities, groceries, insurance, transportation, and minimum debt payments. Then multiply that real number by 3 or 6. Don't just copy someone else's example. Now, look at the gap. $500, $1,000, $10,000, $500, $21,000. That gap is huge. And that's exactly why telling a beginner, just save 6 months of expenses, can be technically right, but practically useless. Someone starting from zero hears $21,000 and checks out. But the fact that the final target is big doesn't make the first $500 meaningless. The first $500 lowers immediate risk. The first $1,000 builds a stronger barrier. The bigger reserve protects you from longer disruptions. Each level has a different job. Once you know your essential monthly number, you choose how many months. This mostly comes down to income risk. 3 months may be a reasonable lower-end target if your job is stable and you could find another one reasonably fast. Or if your household has 2 solid incomes. Or if your fixed costs are low and you could cut more if needed. In our $3,500 example, that would be $10,500. But if your income is less predictable, consider moving towards 6 months or more. Self-employed? Income can vanish without a formal layoff. A big client leaves? A contract ends. Sales slow down? Single-income household? Losing that one paycheck hits much harder. Parents? An emergency can bring extra costs, childcare, medical, time off work, unstable industry. 6 months gives you more time to find a good next job instead of taking the first thing out of panic. Same $3,500 example. 6 months is $21,000. That's serious money, but it's protecting against a serious risk. The question isn't which one sounds safer. 6 months obviously gives more time. The real question is whether the extra protection is worth prioritizing based on your actual risk. Now let's connect the 3 levels. Once essential bills and minimum payments are current, one common approach is to build a small cash cushion, pay down high-interest debt, and then expand the emergency fund. The right balance depends on your interest rates and income risk. Why this order? If you throw every dollar at the credit card with 0 savings, the balance starts dropping, then the car needs a repair. No emergency fund means the repair goes right back on the card. You feel like you made no progress. A starter fund creates a small wall between you and new debt. On the other side, if you refuse to touch the high-interest card until your $21,000 fund is done, that could take a long time. Meanwhile, the interest keeps costing you money. The starter fund acts as a bridge. It gives you some protection without putting expensive debt on hold forever. Once the high-interest debt is under control, you can redirect those payments into the bigger emergency fund. The money that used to go to the credit card company starts going to you. Here's the part most debates miss. The biggest target is not automatically the best next target. A 6-month reserve might be the strongest final position. But that doesn't mean someone with zero savings should skip the first $500. And it doesn't mean someone with expensive debt should spend years building a huge cash pile while the debt keeps growing. Your long-term destination and your next step are not always the same thing. Picture three people. Person one has no savings and a credit card balance. Their next goal is probably $500. Person two already has $1,000, no high-interest debt, and a stable job. Their next goal is 3 months of essential expenses. Person three is self-employed, supports a family on one income, and already has 3 months saved. Their next goal is 6 months. All three are using emergency funds correctly. They're just on different steps. That's why asking, how much should everyone have, gives a bad answer. The better question is, what level of protection matches my current stage and my current risks? Now let's talk about that hidden trap I mentioned earlier. You can choose a perfectly reasonable number and still use it wrong. The trap is treating the number like a trophy instead of a tool. Maybe $1,000 becomes a badge of success. You hit it, feel safe, and stop. But your essential expenses are $3,500 a month? That starter fund wouldn't even cover 1 full month. Or the opposite happens. You get obsessed with reaching 6 months right away because it sounds the most responsible. But you have no starter fund today, your high interest debt is growing, and the big number feels so far away that you never build any momentum. In both cases, the number stopped serving you. An emergency fund isn't about winning a personal finance argument. It's about reducing the chance that a financial shock destroys your progress. Each target has a specific job. $500 offers a basic first layer of protection. $1,000 is a stronger first layer. 3 to 6 months is longer-term security. And your target should change when your life changes. Become self-employed? Risk goes up. Household drops from 2 incomes to 1? Risk goes up. Essential expenses rise from $3,500 to $4,000? Your target needs to rise too. 3 months at $3,500 is $10,500. 3 months at $4,000 is $12,000. That's an extra $1,500 of protection you now need. Your emergency fund isn't a number you calculate once and forget. It's a safety system, and safety systems need updating when the risks change. So here's the simple framework you can use today. If you currently have no emergency savings, $500 can be a practical first milestone. It provides a basic layer of protection and creates quick momentum. If $500 wouldn't cover the smaller emergencies you're most likely to face, keep going to $1,000. That builds a stronger starter fund and lowers the chance a common surprise sends you straight into debt. After that, calculate your real essential monthly expenses. Include housing, utilities, groceries, insurance, transportation, and minimum debt payments. Cut anything you could pause in a real emergency, then multiply by 3 or 6. Choose 3 months if your income is pretty stable and you have good options to replace it. Move towards 6 months if your income is less predictable, your household runs on 1 paycheck, you have kids, or your industry is unstable. This is a practical framework, not a rule every person must follow the exact same way. Your final number should reflect your expenses, your responsibilities, and your actual risk of losing income. Your emergency fund doesn't need to start with a life-changing amount. It needs to start with an amount that stops the next surprise from controlling your decisions. Start with the level that protects you now, then build toward the level that protects your future. Once you pick your first target, the next question is how to reach it without feeling like your whole life is on hold. That's exactly what the next video covers: how to save your first $1,000 emergency fund in 60 days. Weekly targets, the fastest expenses to cut, and the income moves that close the gap faster.